What's up, everyone? Welcome to the channel. This is the first video covering Modern Warfare 2 and what will lead into Warzone 2 coverage from True Game Data. I'm super excited for this. Obviously, Modern Warfare was a hugely successful game, which led into Warzone. They used the engine from Modern Warfare for Warzone, and it was just a massively popular game. And obviously, I created all of this from that. So I'm super excited to be working on Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2. Today's video is going to be all about the new Gunsmith. We got a bunch more details today, and it's really confusing for a lot of people, so I'm going to try to clarify that for you guys and make it make sense, because it is a little bit different and a little bit confusing. But as always, if you guys like the content, you want to see the future Modern Warfare 2 content, Warzone 2 content, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, comment on the video if you want to help support. But let's jump into it and we'll talk about the new Gunsmith. Okay, so that was a lot to digest in a 3-minute video, but I've done some more research into this, watched that video a few times, and I think I have a pretty good understanding of how this is going to work. So let's go to my favorite program, Google Sheets, and I will try to talk about this and explain it a little bit better. So there's two different types of attachments in Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2. There's going to be like universal attachment slots and platform-specific attachment slots. So the universal attachment slots are going to be optic, muzzle, ammunition, and underbarrel, and what that means is, so I'll use an example here. If you level the M4 all the way up and you get all the attachments unlocked for the M4 in Modern Warfare 2, whatever optic, muzzle, ammunition, underbarrel that you unlock for that M4 is going to be usable on literally any weapon in the game. Those are totally universal, but just because you got all of them for the M4 doesn't mean you unlocked all of those attachments for all the weapons. So like, for example, if you then went and leveled an AK-47 all the way up to max level, you would, from level 1, you'd have all those attachments for those 4 slots that you unlocked for the M4, but you're also going to unlock new ones for those slots. So the AK-47 will have some unique attachments in those slots that the M4 doesn't have, but as soon as you unlock them for the AK-47, you can then use them on any other gun, including the M4. So just because you level one gun all the way up, even though you got all of those universal attachment slots for that gun, doesn't mean that you're going to have all the attachments in those slots. Then next up, we have platform-specific attachment slots. So these are barrel, laser, stock, rear grip, receiver, and magazine. These are going to be for the platform or family of weapons that current gun that you're using is in. So an example would be like the M4 platform. This is what they used in the video. The M4 platform is going to be any weapon that basically uses just different receivers, but in real life they would use very similar parts aside from that. So like the M4A1, that's the standard M4 that we know that's automatic. The M16, and then I looked up on Wikipedia different variants of the M4. So the Mark 18 CQBR is another M4 variant or weapon inside that family of weapons. So if you unlock any attachment for the M4A1 in that family of attachments, you're going to unlock that for all of these different guns. So there's two different guns in there. There's an M4 and an M16, but you can use any of the barrels you unlock for the M4 for the M16. You can use any of the attachments in the laser slot that you unlock for the M4 on the M16, because that's in the same family of attachments. Those are going to be only platform specific. So you can't use those barrels and those lasers on an AK-47, for example. So that's the difference between a universal and platform specific. So it makes sense. Like a barrel that you unlock for an M4 in real life, if you had that barrel, it wouldn't work on an AK-47, but it would work on an M16, because they are essentially the same gun, just with some very small tweaks to the receiver and maybe some other things. So another platform that's pretty easy would be like the AK-47 platform. There's a million different variants of the AK-47 in real life, but just some obvious ones that have been in previous CODs. So the AK-47 platform or family of weapons would include things like the AK-47, the RPK, the AK-74U. These are all at their base form the same weapon, just with some modifications made. So I think that's what they're going for with families and platforms in this game. The receiver attachment slot determines which gun you get. So like if you had an AK-47 and you wanted the AK-74U, the receiver attachment slot is going to be the one that determines whether or not it's an AK-47, whether or not it's an RPK, whether or not it's an AK-74U, in terms of how the gun fires, from my understanding. All right, so I wanted to visually show this in the Gunsmith so you guys could try to, first of all, just so I can reiterate it, because it is a little bit confusing, and then also just so you can see it visually. So this is the M4 platform in Modern Warfare 2 Gunsmith, Warzone 2 Gunsmith. You can see that it has 10 attachment slots, just like we've had in the past. What I've done is I've outlined in green the universal attachment slots, and then red is going to be the platform specific attachment slots. So We've got muzzle, underbarrel, ammunition, and optic. Those are universal. Like I said, if you unlock those for the M4, you can use them on any gun in the game. And then if you level up a different weapon platform, there will still be some different ones in there. So there'll be some different muscles. There'll be some different optics. But just because you leveled the M4 doesn't mean you're going to have all of them in the game. There's still some unique ones to different platforms. But once you unlock them in that different platform, you could then come back and use them on the M4. And then we have the platform-specific attachments, which would be barrel, laser, stock, rear grip, receiver, magazine. And like I said, you can see here it says the receiver is the M4 5.56 NATO. So that's where you would switch this to an M16. If you wanted an M16, you would select the M16 receiver. That would change it to a burst weapon. I'm sure it changes the damage values and properties of the weapon. But the reason they did this is because the rest of the gun is pretty much the same in real life. An M16 and M4 are very, very similar weapons. So they're in the same family, same variants, and the same platform. So that way, when you unlock a barrel for the M4, if you're using the M4 receiver, you unlock a barrel. That is also unlocked for the M16. Just because all you'd have to change would be the attachment for the receiver. And then that's the same for the laser, the stock, the rear grip, and the magazine. And again, it makes sense because like if you unlock a magazine for the M4, that magazine obviously would not work with an AK-47. So that's why it's not universal. But for something like a muzzle, if you unlock a certain suppressor, that suppressor will be usable on an AK-47. Same with an optic. An optic could be attached to an AK-47. So it kind of makes sense the way they did this. Obviously, there's a few that aren't going to be, perfectly clear and make perfect sense. But I think it's really interesting, actually. I like the way they've changed this. I think it's going to make it so you don't have to level all the guns quite as much. Something else to talk about, like something like a P90. So a P90 doesn't really have a family of weapons. It's its own thing. So I'm assuming for that, it'll just be like a normal gun, basically. Like you'll have the universal ones. You'll have muzzle, underbarrel, ammunition, and optic from the other weapons that you used. But things like the barrel, the laser, the receiver, the magazine, all these things, you're just gonna have to straight up unlock them for the P90 because it doesn't have any other weapons in its family. It is its own thing, and so there's still gonna be quite a bit to unlock, I think. But overall, there should be less with this new system. This new system really is a lot like kind of like the ammo conversions that we had in the past. So like the AUG, the Modern Warfare AUG had either the default 9mm magazine or you could swap it to the 5.56, which gave it a completely new damage profile. So this is kind of like that, just kind of extended. So instead of just having, either 5.56 ammo or 9mm ammo, like for the M4, you can switch the receiver so you can change it from an M4 to an M16, and then also potentially like change the ammunition in the magazine to make it also have a different damage profile is what I would expect. But basically the receiver is just an attachment slot, but it just kind of expands upon what the ammo conversions did in the past. So we have more options now. They can include more things in the same family, because essentially the 9mm AUG and the 5.56 AUG were different weapons. They handled differently. They had different damage profiles, but they shared all those same attachments. So that's very similar to the idea of the receiver in this. It's just an expanded version of that. So let me know down in the comments what you guys think of this. I think it's great. I think it's going to be really interesting. It does seem a little bit complicated, but I think once we get into the game and we actually use it, I don't think it's going to be too bad. Something else I want to mention, they have not mentioned anywhere on Twitter or any of the posts or the videos, the attachment sliders. So in like the early access that some of the content creators got to see a few months ago, there were sliders between two different stats. So if you selected a certain barrel, say the two stats were aiming stability or recoil control, there would be a slider that would say, you can put this slider anywhere from maximum recoil control and minimum aiming stability, or slide it the other way and do maximum aiming stability but minimum recoil control in that attachment. So I'm assuming that is gone. I think they probably decided that was too complicated because you'd have an infinite number of positions between the two, and this was already a new attachment system. So maybe that's something we would see in future Call of Duties. I have no idea, but it looks like it's been removed, which I thought that was interesting, but I can definitely see how it would be a little bit too complicated for a lot of people. There's a lot of casual players that aren't sitting here watching True Game Data videos that probably just don't even want to deal with that stuff. And because they already implemented this new Gunsmith with all these platforms and universal attachments and platform-specific attachments, they probably thought that was just too much. And I kind of agree. That was maybe too much, but if it's in the game, it'll be fine. It just looks like it's been removed at this point. All right, everyone, as always, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for all the support you guys give me. I'm really, really looking forward to playing Modern Warfare 2, grinding content, grinding the website. We're building out a team of testers to help me out with gathering stats. So hopefully I'll be able to focus more on the website and building features, because the thing that took me the most time was just, frame by frame footage of ADS times, sprint to fire times, all the mobilities, all the stats that I had to analyze frame by frame footage for just took up literally thousands and thousands of hours over the last 2 years. So I didn't have time to build the cool features that I had in my head for the website. But hopefully with these helpers, we can actually get there and actually start building some more awesome features. If you're interested in being one of those testers, we're looking for people with 240 hertz monitors, really powerful PCs, that if you have any sort of technical background in engineering or data science or anything like that, obviously huge plus, but it's not required. Like, I'm not going to turn somebody down just because they don't have a background in this stuff. But the questionnaire for that is on my Twitter page, so it's pinned to my Twitter. So if you want to apply for that, go for it. It's on there. We have a lot of people already, so I'm not sure how many we're going to actually get. But yeah, appreciate you guys watching, and we will cover Modern Warfare 2 the best we can.